Hello everyone, behind me is the BMW 128 Ti. It's actually a pretty controversial car. BMW hot hatches of old have normally always been rear-wheel drive. It's part of what gives BMWs their character. However, this time around, they decided to make a front-wheel drive hot hatch to compete with the likes of the Golf GTI. So just how did they get along? I'm going to jump behind the wheel now, show you around the car, and let you know if BMW's front-wheel drive hot hatch is any good. So before we get inside, what is there to note on the outside? Quite a few sporty features on the Ti. First of all, the front bumper is the same as which you'd find on the M135i, the faster all-wheel drive version. And then there's these striking red accents, even red brake calipers, red touches all the way down the car, and of course the Ti badge in red as well. Coming around the back, there's an optional rear spoiler, but it's quite subtle. I like it. A sort of faux diffuser, but then two things that definitely are not fake. These enormous exhaust pipes, you can see the valves inside. Make a great noise actually when you get it going. Coming back around the side, we've got these lovely 18-inch M Sport alloy wheels, but even more importantly, they're wearing Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres. This is a tyre I've got on quite a few of my cars. And to say they make a world of difference is definitely an understatement. This car handles fantastically on them. Definitely would recommend taking that option if you were to order one of these. Otherwise, that's pretty much all there is to say, from me at least, around the outside. It's a pretty well understated, subtly designed hot hatchback shape. Inside, we've got more red touches, very striking red leather interior. Tell you what though, the first thing I noticed when I sat down in these seats is just how firm they are. I'm quite fussy when it comes to seating position. I tend to get a bad back quite easily. Just shut ourselves in. I tend to get a bad back quite easily on the road, but I've been driving this car for a few hours now, and all I feel is supported in these seats, to be fair. No, very nice shape. They hug your body, especially in the bends, so no complaints there. Nice little Ti logo sewn into the leather on the armrest. That's another nice touch. You might notice down here the gear selector. This car is of course an automatic. Unfortunately, it's not available in manual, which is a shame. However, it's got a quite nice 8-speed automatic box, which is powered by BMW's 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, which produces quite a hefty, I have to say, 265 horsepower. Bear in mind that's only to the front wheels, and 400 newton meters of torque. On that topic of torque, I have actually found a little bit of torque steer with this car. It's supposed to electronically compensate for it so that you don't notice the wheels pulling you around on the road. However, I have noticed it a little bit, but I actually think it adds, in a sense, to the experience, the kind of the visceral experience of hustling a car around the road rather than just having a car that basically drives itself. What else is there to mention on the interior before I jump on the road and show you what it's like to drive? Got this very nice display here, which of course has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We've got this virtual cockpit here, which is an option, but it's quite cool. It changes. We're in an Eco Pro mode. If I change it to Sport, you can see the whole setup changes. It makes everything a bit more focused and racy. Changes on here as well. We've got a nice little model of the car. It's a shame that it didn't have, well, it's gone now. It's a shame it doesn't have the red accents on there to emulate how the car is on the outside, but I guess they can't do everything. Again, we've got ambient lighting around here, and the quality in here is lovely. I compared this car earlier briefly to the Golf GTI. The new Mark 8 Golf GTI, I have to say, the interior quality is rubbish. There's no two ways about it, but of course, BMW being BMW, this is a really high quality, nice plastics, nice leathers, everything has a good weight to it. It's a really high quality experience. So all in all, impressed so far. Let's jump on the road and see how it drives. Anyway, that's enough of me just talking. Let's put the car in drive and go for a drive. Straight away, I've got the car in sport and you can feel that it is a responsive engine. I've got a nice clear stretch of road ahead. The car's got a clever limited slip diff, which actually will send more power to the outside wheel in the corner to almost slingshot you around the corner. Just one of the many bits of clever electronics that are working in this car to keep you on the road. So I mentioned the car is a 8-speed automatic. Currently got it in sport. You can probably hear it revving quite high as a result. But if I put it into manual now, the nice thing about it is it will actually let you hit the rev limiter. A lot of cars, see I'm at the rev limiter now, a lot of cars would upshift for you Audis and so on, Golf R even, would upshift as soon as you got to that point. But this car will let you rev it all the way out, which is a nice touch. Still doesn't quite replicate the experience of having a manual gearbox. But in the corners, obviously this car is lower than a standard 1 Series. In fact, suspension has even been tweaked, especially at the rear, to compensate for the fact that this car is front-wheel drive versus the all-wheel drive 135i. So it is a bespoke setup to this car, and you can tell it really handles the bends nicely. It is quite a pleasure to drive. Great noise from the engine. Of course there will be some amplification there, but it is a good noise. Seating position's nice, handles the road lovely, very little understeer. On this open stretch of road now, put the foot down, there's a lot of power behind you. Easy to believe that this car does 0 to 60 in just about 6 seconds, which front wheel drive car, that is very impressive, and quite honestly it was all you'd ever need. Of course, like all these modern hot hatches and automatic gearbox, it does have launch control, which will help you do that 0 to 60 time. The nice thing about steering as well, I mentioned there is some electronic interference to try and compensate for torque steer, but that said, the steering is very pointed, you know, it does go exactly where you expect it to do, and in the same way the brakes, got a lot of confidence in the brakes when you're hot on them. It doesn't grab or anything like that, so it's a nice confident setup for a car like this, reasonable amount of power, that you know you can go down a country lane, of course, when it's safe to do so, and throw it around, and you're not going to have any surprises. So I'll wrap this video up here now. I won't drag on for too long, but I've thoroughly enjoyed that blast I've just been for in the 128 Ti. Starting around £34,000. Sounds like a lot of money for a car, but bear in mind that is pretty much exactly what the Mark 8 Golf GTI starts at. Again, there's no hiding that this is what they were trying to compete with, bringing this car out. Would I take one of these over the equivalent Mark 8 Golf GTI? I probably would. The build quality is just that little bit better. However, I think a front-wheel drive car like this should have a manual option, and that is the downfall of this car, in my opinion. For what it is, an automatic front-wheel drive hot hatch, it's fantastically set up, a lot of power, a lot of fun, really good to throw around the bends, but I think it is missing that extra dimension that would be brought by having a manual gearbox. I must confess I've not really been paying attention to the fuel economy, of course, today, because I've been hot on it while I've been driving this car, but it's reported to be able to do an average of about 40 mpg, even up to 50 on the motorway in Eco Pro mode. So there is no denying that this car would be a very practical daily. That said, absolutely would recommend the 128 Ti. Of course, get out and test drive one first if you're serious about wanting to buy one, to see just if you enjoy it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it and happily drive one of these cars every day, knowing full well I'll be able to take it out the weekend and have a great time in it.